What's worse than being yelled at? Being treated like you don't exist. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that someone you care about has suddenly gone silent. No argument, no explanation, no goodbye, just silence. At first, you tell yourself they're probably busy. But as the hours turn into days, something strange starts happening. You begin checking your phone every few minutes. You replay old conversations in your head. You analyze every word, every message, every interaction, searching for a clue. You start asking yourself questions like, did I say something wrong? Are they angry with me? Are they leaving me? And before you know it, their silence has taken over your thoughts. But here's the disturbing part. The silent treatment isn't just silence. It's a psychological experience that can make people question their worth, their relationships, and sometimes even themselves. So why does being ignored hurt so much? Why can silence feel more painful than words? And why do some people use it as a weapon? To answer that, we first need to understand what silence does to the human mind. Humans are social creatures. For thousands of years, being accepted by a group meant survival, while rejection often meant danger. Because of this, our brains became highly sensitive to signs of exclusion. When someone suddenly stops communicating with us, our brain doesn't simply register it as, they're not talking to me. Instead, it starts treating the situation like a threat. The uncertainty becomes difficult to bear because the truth is, most people can handle bad news. What they struggle with is not knowing. When someone says, I'm upset with you, at least you have an answer. But silence gives you nothing. And when the brain doesn't have answers, it starts creating its own. That's when overthinking begins. You imagine worst-case scenarios. You assume blame. You fill in the gaps with fear. And often, those imagined stories hurt far more than reality ever could. The silent treatment creates a state of emotional uncertainty. Your mind becomes trapped in a cycle of waiting, wondering, hoping, and worrying. You check your phone. You wait for a notification. Nothing comes. Then you check again. Sound familiar? That's because silence creates an unfinished story, and the human brain hates unfinished stories. It wants closure. It wants answers. It wants certainty. But the silent treatment provides none of those things. Instead, it leaves you emotionally suspended, as if you're waiting for the ending of a movie that never arrives. And that's exactly why some people struggle to move on. They're not always attached to the person, they're attached to the answers they never received. Now, let's ask a different question. Why would someone choose silence instead of communication? The answer isn't always the same. Sometimes, people go silent because they're overwhelmed. Sometimes they don't know how to express what they're feeling. Sometimes they genuinely need space. But in other cases, silence becomes a form of control. Think about it. When someone refuses to communicate, they control the flow of information. They know what's happening. You don't. And that imbalance can create anxiety, confusion, and emotional dependence. Without saying a single word, they become the center of your attention. That's why silent treatment can feel so powerful, not because of what is being said, but because of what is being withheld. Here's something most people never realize. The silent treatment often reveals more about the person giving it than the person receiving it. Healthy communication requires courage. It requires honesty. It requires the willingness to face uncomfortable conversations. Silence avoids all of those things. And while it may feel like they're judging your value, their behavior may actually be revealing their own inability to communicate effectively. The person suffering the most during silent treatment is often the one desperately searching for answers, while the real issue may have little to do with their worth at all. The silent treatment isn't powerful because of what it says. It's powerful because of what it makes you imagine. The unanswered questions, the endless assumptions, the stories your mind creates to fill the silence. But here's the truth. Someone's silence is not always a reflection of your value. Sometimes it's simply a reflection of their inability to communicate. And the moment you stop chasing explanations from people who refuse to give them, you take back the power their silence once had over you. Because your worth should never depend on someone else's willingness to speak. If you've ever experienced the silent treatment, let me know in the comments, what was the very first thought that went through your mind? And if you enjoy psychology content that uncovers the hidden reasons behind human behavior, subscribe to MentiView and join us for the next deep dive into the human mind.